Hello and welcome back to the Warlords of Draenor video. This time we're going to be having a chat about garrisons. Now, while I did cover these in a previous video yesterday, we've had a lot more specifics from one of the recent panels. This was the systems panel today. Honestly, it was a fantastic panel, lots of great information, and a lot more clarification on the mechanics of garrisons. This really, I am blown away by how much of a large feature this is. So, let's get started. Your garrison starts off with a few buildings. These are a mine, a town hall, a farm, and a fishing shack. It's essentially the main core abilities, and these seem to upgrade with your garrison as you upgrade it from tier 1 to tier 3. Now, there's also three kinds of different plots on which you can build buildings. The small buildings are the alchemy lab, the smithy, the enchanter's study, the engineering works, the scribe's office, the salvage yard, the storehouse, the tailoring studio, the jewel crafting gallery, and the tannery. They also talked about basically these different buildings. You can unlock different recipes for them and things like that. It seems to be that you can get these recipes throughout the world and just through interacting with the buildings and carrying out their missions, or perhaps assigning your followers to work in them. Now, the medium buildings are the pet stable, the trading post, the lumber mill, the barn, and the inn. And as for these, I'm not really sure about most of them. I know that the inn can be used to recruit new followers though. And for the large buildings, we have the barracks, the infirmary, the armory, the stable, the academy, and the mage tower. They describe these as being a little bit like the sort of buildings you would have built in one of the Warcraft RTSs. These are the largest buildings you can get, and they have the best bonuses. The barracks will increase the amount of followers you can have, as an example. I'd say maybe the armory would buff the melee combat or the armor of some of your guys. That sort of thing. Overall, they just seem to do different sort of buffs, and perhaps give you access to perks. I know, as an example, the infirmary, one of the things they were talking about is it could perhaps give you a free res every day or every few hours or something like that, which you could use just in the world, which would be quite nice. Now for building details. So, they've told us that they upgrade over time, and each one has its own different upgrades. Now, over time you get larger and cooler versions of buildings with more things. Now, they showed a picture of an upgrading an infirmary to level 2, and this cost 10k gold. Now, since an infirmary is a large building, then it probably does make sense that there is that slightly larger gold cost. Also, it's worth remembering that due to inflation, 10k gold in the next expansion will not be what 10k gold is in this expansion. Overall, that looks quite cool. It seems like the upgrades from levels 1 to 3 are far more of a slow thing, or not slow thing, sorry, they're far more of a, passive thing, but it's once you hit level 3 that you get access to some more interesting things. So we get upgrades by purchasing them for a lot of buildings, or by getting new blueprints which you can find in the world. These can be found as, say, a random drop, a faction, something like that, and these work similar to the way that the pet battle system works, in that you can have a look at all the different blueprints, and the game will tell you where to find them. Now, I won't say exactly where, but it'll say it's a rare drop in this zone, as an example. So you right-click in one of these profession blueprint thingies, and then it will appear on your little UI, and you'll be able to build it, which is quite cool. Now, specializations. Well, once you hit rank 3 with a building, you can get a specialization, and they're not really sure about changing them, but they said that they will be changeable, and they gave the example of you can change a building specialization once a day at a cost. It looked quite interesting. Now, rank 3, you choose a spec, and the specs, they didn't tell us much about them, but they're essentially larger upgrades that affect your followers or things like that. They maybe even give you a buff in the actual, regular game, which all sounds quite interesting. Now, the next thing is followers. You can assign your different followers to buildings, and this includes essentially all buildings. For an example, you can put a miner onto the mine, and he will start collecting ore while you're offline, so he'll collect X amount of ore per hour. Now, the thing is, this isn't free, because the same follower could also be used to go out on a quest. So that was really kind of cool to me. Now, the garrison itself will also upgrade. It starts small and will get larger, and as it gets larger you get more plots, and this is over the 3 tiers. These will give, each tier will give buffs to your followers and allow room for more buildings, and to get it to change tier you need to fill up all the plots you have, and the plots come in 3 sizes, small, medium, and large, one for each size of building. The tier progression is rank 1, I think you have 5 plots, rank 2 you seem to have from 9 to 11, and rank 3 is in around 15. I didn't really get to count them exactly. So overall, some very cool stuff. Now let's talk about missions. So missions are things that you send your followers on, and these vary. They can be quests, scenarios, dungeons, and raids. Quests are supposed to take from 15 to 30 minutes, scenarios are supposed to take from 2 to 3 hours, dungeons are supposed to take well, for some reason in my note here I wrote 103 days, but I'm quite sure that's not wrong. I think it's really 1 to 3 days, and raids can take 4 to 7 days, and these will take different amounts of followers. Now, missions have traits and things like that, so that you can, if you want to, say, match a follower to a mission. For an example, if a follower has the Orcbane trait, which means it's better at fighting orcs, then you'll want to send that on a mission that involves it fighting orcs. It makes sense, right? So the way the UI works is you drag your followers onto the quest UI, and then it will give you the rough chances of success, and then you'll tell them to go. I'm not too sure if your followers can die, but it definitely seems like if they fail, then they're put on recovery, and then say if you have more upgraded infirmary, then they will recover quicker, which is rather cool. Now, while they did talk a lot about the UI, everything is, of course, in the game world. For example, as the more you upgrade your mine, the more nodes spawn in it that you can just fly into and go in your mount and mine them all. So everything here is very much reflected in-game, and just from looking at some of the screenshots and things like that, this is such an impressive system. It's the guild housing that many other MMOs have done, but I think ramped up to 11. Now, that said, other games such as Dungeons & Dragons Online and some of the newer MMOs also do guild housing or player housing in a very cool way, but I just love this unique little spin the Blizzard have put on it. They really are great for putting their own unique spin. Now, I know this is sort of similar to Heroes of Might and Magic, but Blizzard are just so good at integrating things like this into their games. I just think it's great. So they did say in a Q&A that they may add more player-to-player interactions. That would be maybe visiting a friend's like garrison to do something. I'm not sure. Maybe attacking a friend's garrison for some reason. I'm not sure. But they said this is the more of the sort of thing they'll be adding in time over patches. And they say they have expanded their phasing tech so that it's better in terms of range, in that, say if you've built a mage tower, you will see that thing on the horizon, unlike on, say, the farm in Pandaria, where it's only really once you walk into the farm that it faces into your version of it. So that's it for the garrisons. This is all we know currently. This is the most up-to-date information from BlizzCon, and really anything else is going to be post-BlizzCon. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. If you want to keep up with BlizzCon, do be sure to subscribe to the channel, because there'll be lots of great stuff coming up. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.